full playthrough, no continues with the stipulations. We're allowed to lose as long as we don't get a game over. So if you get to Tyson and lose, I think it's automatically a game over. But otherwise, you're allowed to lose like 2 or 3 times. Yeah, we're not going to use passwords, and we're not going to use save states. We're going to beat this game like legit.
Number 2, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, released for the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1987. Mike Tyson's Punch Out is a boxing game developed and published by Nintendo and is an adaptation of the arcade video game Punch Out, released in 1984. This title received critical acclaim and is considered one of the greatest video games of all time. Punch Out features Little Mac as the main character, fighting his way up through the ranks of the World Video Boxing Association. Mike Tyson's Punch Out featured Mike Tyson as Little Mac's final opponent, who was the real-life World Heavyweight Boxing Champion around the time that this game was released. After the license to use Tyson's likeness expired, he was replaced by the fictional Mr. Dream, and the title of this game was changed to simply Punch Out. Little Mac has a limited repertoire of punches compared to most of his opponents. He can perform left or right jabs, left or right body blows, and a powerful uppercut. The uppercut can only be used after earning a star, which a player can usually acquire by counterpunching an opponent with certain timing. The timing required in the instances where a star can be earned differs from enemy boxer to enemy boxer. Little Mac can acquire as many as 3 stars at a time, and to perform the uppercut, the player has to press the start button, which is usually not how these games were controlled back then. Little Mac's defensive options include dodging left or right, ducking, or blocking punches by putting up his guard. Little Mac has a heart counter, which basically represents his stamina. The counter decreases upon Little Mac getting hit, blocking a punch, or throwing a punch that an opponent dodges or blocks. When Little Mac's heart meter reaches 0, he temporarily turns different shades of pink, which is supposed to represent Little Mac being exhausted. While pink, Little Mac cannot attack, but he's still able to dodge, duck, and block. A bout can end by knockout, TKO, or decision. A knockout occurs when a boxer gets hit and falls to the canvas. After a 10 count by the referee, who just so happens to be Mario, the match ends in a KO or knockout. A TKO is attained by one of the boxers being knocked down 3 times in a single round. The match automatically ends in a technical knockout. Lastly, a bout ends in decision when a bout lasts more than 3 full rounds without a clear winner. The player can win this decision by having acquired a certain point total before the final round is over. Some bouts cannot be won in this manner by Little Mac and will always result in a loss if you cannot win by KO or TKO by the end of the 3rd round. Mac typically can only get up from knockdowns 3 total times in a single bout, but only 2 times when facing specifically Mr. Sandman or Super Macho Man. Being knocked down too many times will force Little Mac to stay down for the 10 seconds no matter what you do, even if he has not suffered a loss via TKO. Little Mac faces a variety of opponents in this title. 3 in the minor circuit, 4 in the major circuit, 6 in the world circuit, and then a final bout against either Mike Tyson or Mr. Dream, depending on the version you're playing. The opponents you face throughout the game consist of the following: Glass Joe, Von Kaiser, Piston Honda, Don Flamenco, King Hippo, Great Tiger, Bald Bull, Soda Popinski, Mr. Sandman, Super Macho Man, and either Mike Tyson or Mr. Dream, depending on the version. The bouts against Mike Tyson and Mr. Dream are exactly the same. The only difference in the 2 boxers is that they use a different sprite, but are otherwise identical in the way that they fight. I'll also note that you face Piston Honda, Don Flamenco, and Bald Bull twice each as well. Punch Out is a game from my childhood that I always come back to. I played this game many times at a neighbor's house as a young boy, but could never get very far. I remember always being stuck at Bald Bull, but I probably did manage to beat him back then, like once or twice. It's kind of hard to remember. Then as a teenager, way after the NES no longer came out with new games, I picked this title up and played the hell out of it. I think I may have beaten the game back then, or perhaps I only got to Iron Mike Tyson. I don't exactly remember. But I played this game many times since then, including streaming this title and beating both Iron Mike and Mr. Dream during 2 separate playthroughs over the last 2 years. Both times I had to train and play the game for several days before actually being able to beat the game. Getting really good at this title requires pattern memorization and learning the timing, but it is so much more than that. Those that consider this to be one of the greatest games of all time are right. This game is fantastic. Battling your way up through the ranks is thrilling and gives the player that old school, your hands are sweating, there's high stakes, there's pressure, like if I don't win right here, I get reset way back in the game, I've got to win right now. It's that high stakes gaming experience that is just lost on newer games and newer players. I'd imagine that even when I'm an old man and I'm in the twilight of my years, I'll look back fondly at Mike Tyson's Punch Out as one of the greatest games I had ever played.
1, 2. We actually did it. We actually did it in round 3. We did it in round 3. We beat Mike Tyson round 3. We did it. We did it. Full run from the beginning, from Glass Joe till the end of the game. Mike Tyson, great fighting. You were tough, Mac. I've never seen such finger speed before.